Hi Sagittarius, welcome to May 2018. Thank you so much for being here. Can I just say, wow? Like, wow, this reading was incredible. And I am so excited for you. And I gotta say, I think this is my first Sagittarius reading in a very, very long time where I'm like, okay, you guys are on your own. Like, you're totally set free. You've paid your dues. You've done what you need to do. And you guys are just running with it and moving forward with it. If you don't feel like you're at that point in your life, I think it's closer than you think. I really, really do. I put in my description, like, you've come so far and it's time to cash in on all the good karma, you know. And I know that there are going to be cross watchers who are dealing with a negative Sagittarian out there. But hopefully they will take the opportunity that's presented to them this month to stop reverting backwards and continue along their path in a positive way, because there's so much bounty on that path. Like, this reading was really unbelievable. You know, Sagittarius can often be, because you're a fire sign, you can really care a little bit too much. You're very service oriented, and you can often put yourself on the back burner for other people. And now is really not the time to be doing that. Now is the time to put yourself forward. You know, we have major things happening in Capricorn, Saturn and Pluto going retrograde, Mars coming in contact with Pluto, and that's all going to be in a square with Uranus. And so there are, like I said, and I think I said this last month, we are being called up to make major changes in our life. Karma is at play, but karma goes both ways. It's good and bad. So there are people that are dealing with their bad karma and it's going to get served. And then the positive karma is going to get served too. We also have the sun entering Taurus, which is going to give us this beautiful grounded effect that in spite of all the stuff that's happening up here in Capricorn, Taurus is sitting in there, you know, just really making sure that everything is being held together as much as possible. So we're very grateful for that happening right now as well. And then ultimately Uranus is going to be transiting into Taurus later on, middle of next month, May 15th. And the Uranus in Taurus transit is going to be interesting, to say the least, and I'll talk more about that next month with the reading. But I'm going to leave you guys there. I don't think there's really a lot to say. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye. Those Sagittarius, let's get started. This one came out and did a little dance for me, like spun around a few times before it landed. And I don't know, I felt like your reading was going to go quite well. And in spite of any negative energies that may come out, they seem to be very insurmountable. You know, it's just, or very conquerable, very easy. And, you know, you don't have a lot of focus on your sign this month, which I think is like, oh, a nice break for you guys. And I feel like you guys have this, with this card coming out, this very good handle on yourself, a very good handle on your actions, on your thoughts, on your emotions, and you seem to be operating from a very spiritual standpoint, where it is in effect your soul and your spirit that is driving you, and the actions that are needed are merely, you know, actions to bring about manifestation of certain things. The Hierophant has a great deal to do with self-mastery, mastery of, like I said, thoughts, actions, and emotions, but also to really be prepared and to be in line so that you can come in contact with your soul's purpose here on Earth. And you've gone through so many of the hard lessons already with the Saturn in your sign, and you know, eventually later this year, Jupiter's coming home to to Sagittarius. And that's a beautiful time whenever a home planet, especially an outer planet like a Neptune, Uranus, whatever, comes home, because it just has that like ease and the flow. And I think your sense of optimism and your sense of excitement and enthusiasm toward life in general is going to get just better and better and better as you feel, you know, we still have Jupiter going retrograde, but once it starts going back direct, you're going to start feeling the presence of Jupiter coming home. And there's going to be like this feeling of like there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't have. There's nothing that's out of reach or impossible. You can manifest that beautiful, loving, respectful partnership. You can attract the financial things that you want and need. We've got the Magician coming out reversed now. Well, I don't know if you're dealing with someone. This month seems to be a lot about vibrations. And it's not just you guys. It seems to be everybody, where we are all becoming very, very aware and taking on a great deal of responsibility, right? That's part of the self-mastery, taking on responsibility for the things that we project outwards. And not everyone is going to be that self-aware. And the Magician comes out and it tells me that either you or someone else is not quite living up to their own standards, and someone is somewhat ignoring their truth. I think it's someone else, because you're coming out here with this Hierophant, boom, first card, which tells me you've really got things under control, but there's probably someone that doesn't have it under control as well, or as well as you do. They could be fooling themselves, and there could be even, I don't even know why I'm getting this. This is kind of a weird thing. There could be even projection of jealousy on towards you as well. Those are the low vibrations that you really, really need to be attuned to so that you can energetically reject them. I use this example in the Scorpio reading, where it's like we've got this desk here, right? And we've got my hand, and essentially they're vibrating at different frequencies. If I was vibrating at the same rate as this desk, I should be able to like put my hand through it, right? But it's not. And so I come into resistance there. I cannot put my hand through it. So that's kind of that energetic rejection, where two people that are operating on two totally different wavelengths are not meshing. And it's just going to happen organically, happen naturally, where you take the path of the Hierophant. And the Hierophant on this picture is represented as like a pope or a more institutional figure in some kind of hierarchical institution. But ultimately, the Hierophant is the representative of an adept or a master, you know, someone who understands the rules and the laws of the universe and uses them to their benefit to enhance their progress, right? And to, like I say, carry out their purpose. So you are taking on this sense, this energy of master this month. Someone else, and not so much. It may be frustrating for you and the people around you. I feel like you are doing everything that you're supposed to be, and people don't really like it. You know, unfortunately, we live in a world where we are taught and bred to sort of project issues, personal issues, onto other people. And it manifests itself in, like I said, jealousy, in anger, in frustration. And here you are, I think, having to deal with a lot of these projections. And because you are such a beautiful, caring, service-oriented sign, there is going to be a part of you that really wants to help and really wants to take care of these other people, but you have to draw a line somewhere. And it's not to say that you are going to completely abandon people, but you can't hold people's hands. You cannot live their life for them. You cannot do the self-introspection for them. I know you want to help, but I think that in this particular energetic state, you are going to fight harder by trying to help rather than if you were to just let them do their own thing on their own. And you don't have any reason to defend yourself. Like, you don't have to defend yourself. That's not fair to you, because you've worked through all the karmic lessons. You've worked through a lot of the darkness. And in a weird way, Sagittarius, you have maintained your sense of optimism through the whole thing. And that's very admirable, because not everyone has been so lucky And not everyone has that ability, right? It's not built into them, where, like, you know, there are some really negative people out there, and a lot of times that's because of planetary positions that they were born with, you know, and that was the path that their soul chose to go down in this incarnation. And so being a Jupiter ruled sign, you have this blessing of being able to see the best in everything, and people don't like that. You know, people want to see people being pulled down. You don't have to play that game. You don't have to lower your vibes down to such a dark level. It's an important task to see. Here's a card of Uranus, judgment. You have been divinely blessed. At this point in time, I think you have all the information that you need to sort of progress and to open this new chapter of Uranus entering into Taurus, Chiron into Aries. This truly is an official new era. And you have an opportunity to manifest like crazy with Uranus and Taurus. And it can be manifestation of good things or bad things. And therein lies your responsibility to ensure that your thoughts are in line with good things, to ensure your emotions are in line with good things, and your physical associations are in line with good things, so that you manifest the good and you do not manifest the difficult. Because why would you do that? You've already gone through that the past several years. I mean, gosh, I remember my readings from Sagittarius last year, and you guys got hit really hard, plain and simple, and it's over, hopefully. Again, everyone has their own individual transits they're going through, but in general, as a collective, you are kind of, you know, have an open sign. You know, there's just not a lot of attention on you guys right now. So you have all the information that you need, and it is going to be important for you to be ready for when that moment comes to act or to pounce on something. You know, you're going to have to be emotionally and mentally ready, because it's going to take you to a very uncomfortable place. That's kind of the essence of Uranus. It has a lot to do with discomfort. See, you have stability built in, the stability that you built for yourself. The Four of Wands is a card of foundation, stability, emotional security. And there's also a sense of feeling very, very sure of what it is that you're aiming towards. You may have an inclination to really stay home a lot this month as well, with this card coming out. I know you're a card of activity, or a sign. I think I said that with another sign as well. You're a sign of activity. You like to be doing things, and you are very curious about life, and you view life as a big, beautiful adventure. But to maintain your roots, or to reconnect with your roots, whether it's reconnecting with family, reconnecting with childhood friends, going back to the place where you grew up, you know, those are kinds of the things that help guide us in our way. Because if you take like a point, if you take a point, right, here's a point, you can draw a line really in any direction, right? So here's my line, here's my point. You can draw a line in any direction, right? But if you have the point where you began and the point where you are now, and you want to connect those two, there's only one line that can be drawn. And I think by reconnecting with our roots, somehow it makes the future decisions much, much easier, because you see how far you've come, and you see where you started, you see where you are now, and you see what's possible for that third line, you know, several years down the road. And every day and every moment we're drawing new dots, or we're placing new dots, we're putting new data points on the graph, if you will. And I think that this is going to give you that starting point. This is where you are now, and let's see kind of maybe even where you're headed. Maybe the third card will give us an indication there. Maybe not, but maybe. Either way, it's going to help decisions be a lot easier. I don't think that you're in for that difficult of a time. You know, I really don't. I don't feel that you are. If you are having a difficult time right now, it's important for you to ask yourself, what is it that you're fighting, and what resistance are you experiencing that's really worth it? You know, what can be reduced? What can be shed or purged? Okay, see? Well, there's the third trajectory. This is not only emotional fulfillment, but spiritual fulfillment as well. It has a lot to do with feeling fulfilled in many and all aspects of life, feeling like you are living your purpose, feeling like you're not just wandering around aimlessly, but you are in fact accomplishing something. Now, we all have different purposes here on earth. For many Sagittarians, there is a significant spiritual element because you are the sign that represents philosophy and religion, and it is the sign that I weirdly associate with spiritual positions such as the Dalai Lama. You know, it's the traveler Sagittarius, you've got the higher education Sagittarius, and you have the spiritual masters, which you're being represented as here as the Hierophant. The Hierophant, adepts, and masters in our world. And that's kind of your archetype. It's part of your sign. So there's no need for you to feel spiritually unfulfilled in this lifetime when here is that perfectly aligned trajectory. Here you go, point 1, point 2, point 3. And Ace of Cups is always a state of becoming, right? And for those of you who are students of the spiritual world, you'll know how important that word becoming actually is, because the world and the universe is in a constant state of becoming. This seems to be trying to hold you back. And if you are like psyching yourself out and holding yourself back in any way, please know that there's absolutely no need to be afraid, that the change is inevitable. And this is actually a point of choice, whether you can see it that way or not. Uranus comes in and all it does is it shakes things up and it challenges things. But once the thing or the institution or the structure of your life or your routine or whatever it is has been challenged, you are then presented a choice. Do you choose to continue doing it the way you've always done it, or do you choose to take the new route? And it's usually just one or the other. You know, you can either change or do it the same way. If you choose to do it the same way, then you're probably going to feel really, really stuck, and you're going to experience the Seven of Wands even more, and there could be a lot of self-beratement, you know, a lot of self-criticism and a lot of self-frustration that can be projected out onto other people. Or you can liberate yourself, which again, the card of Uranus, or a card that's ruled by Uranus, does indicate liberation. And I'm so sorry, I just happened to see the bottom of the deck. You guys know I don't normally do bottom of the deck things, but as I just happened to be holding it and waving it around, we get the Star, which is also a card of Aquarius, which is Uranus ruled. So you have that liberation. It's also a point in time where you are starting to recognize and come in contact with your responsibility for the world. And you may be feeling the weight of that on your shoulders a little bit with the Seven of Wands. You may be really asking, what am I really meant to do here? This is like romantic connections aside, friendships aside, parents and whatever. It's all of that seems to be taking a back burner for you this month. And it could have a lot to do with Saturn and Pluto moving retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, because those are karmic signs, right? And I think a lot, or those are karmic movements or transits. And when a lot of us have had a lot of karmic stuff come up over the past 8 years, and a lot of that stuff what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. We've had a lot of karmic stuff come out. Oh, and so a lot of the karmic scales have been balanced. And so now we're kind of operating on a blank slate a little bit. And that can be a little bit scary because we realize that we actually are really officially writing the story of our life. And we do have that sense of, you know, responsibility there. And it's, you know, we realize and come in contact with our responsibility for the consensus reality. because that's what we're living in, is in a consensus reality that we are all creating together. And all of the pain and sadness and hurt is just as much on our plate as all the humanitarian efforts, the love, and all the beautiful things that happen too. Like, it's all one and of the same. We are all responsible for all of it. And this is a really high level reading, you guys. And I'm wondering if you guys aren't going to be doing a lot of very deep meditations. I think a lot of people are. And really digging in very, very deep within ourselves. Again, Chiron and Aries, it's to be expected. Moving in very, very deep within ourselves so that we can really finally, once and for all, understand who we are and where we came from and why we're here. And the Knight of Pentacles coming out, I feel like there's a Virgo presence around you. Look, Virgo has been making an appearance, weirdly enough, in a lot of the signs. It made an appearance in Scorpio, I know, because I just did. Now here it is again. And I gotta tell you that even if you don't have any signs in Virgo reading might actually be a good one for everybody to watch, simply because they are, I don't know why, I'm not gonna call them the leaders, but they have been having very, very spiritual experience as well. And because you are a mutable sign, it's possible that a lot of the mutables are gonna be feeling that way together and collectively. And I feel like this is actually very in line with the Virgo reading. The Knight of Pentacles, if you are dealing with a Virgo, they are just as willing and available to help. And I feel like that is maybe someone from your past or someone that is a part of your root system in some way, shape, or form. This could be a mother or a father or a best friend or a childhood friend or someone that you've dated or whatever. But, you know, I think that they have also reached this point because they're in the upright position. I feel like they are the type of people, like this is kind of a mold, if you will, of the type of people you should be associating with versus the people that you should not be associating with. And for those of you who are teeter-tottering and you're like, yeah, I know, but I've been friends with them forever, it's not to say you have to completely cut them out, but you do have to recognize that difference in vibration like I described before. Okay, Ace of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles. And then we got the last three as well. Queen of Swords, Ace of Swords, and the Nine of Wands. So let's move these over. Look, I'm going to be clarifying this, and especially that in the comprehensive, and also Seven of Wands. So there's a lot to really talk about still. You know, this doesn't have to be so hard. Sometimes we can bring that on ourselves too. Let's talk about the Ace of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, all of these pentacles in line. It's really nice to have the most grounded element of Earth, Pentacles, being in the grounding position. You may be taking on actually a very earthy quality and really manifesting a lot of beautiful things, manifesting material opportunities as well as spiritual fulfillment and emotional fulfillment opportunities. If you're here because of a romance situation, this could be someone that could be, I mean, absolutely amazing for you. Someone that truly has gone through just as much pain as you have and who has had the ability to assemble themselves. I don't get a negative vibe. Sometimes with knights, I get negative vibes because they are wearing armor. The mutability can be a little bit unpredictable, but you're a mutable sign as well, so maybe that's something that you just intrinsically understand. I'm really not getting a dark side or a negative side. Like, I don't think this person is going to be overly critical the way I might normally say with a Virgo quality, because they themselves have put their own critical part in check. Like, they've come in contact with that. It is a part of their shadow self. They understand it, they recognize it, and they understand their responsibility too in not projecting their issues onto you. I think you've got someone that is projecting and you've got someone that is not projecting. So you may be dealing with multiple players here. Here, let's move on. Oh, well, let's talk about the Six of Pentacles first. You know, this is a very reciprocal type of situation that's going on. It's like I give and then I receive, and they give and then they receive, and it seemed to be very, very equal. Like I was talking about the scales right here, we have the scales right here. The scales of karma have officially been balanced for a lot of us, not all of us, but many of us. And so now we're dealing with this very clean slate, and we have so many choices at play, and the responsibility is very huge in many ways. So I feel like this is you, Libra. This is a card of Libra, but I feel like this is you, Sagittarius, really being very, very on point and being very dutiful and very honest about your path. See how sharp-minded you are, how keen and intelligent you are. And for many of you who had a lot of the blockages up, man, guys, I remember those readings. They were so rough. And there were so many blockages, and there were so many frustrations and energetic restrictions. And it was just like the list goes on and on and on. And I think you've officially broken through a lot of those barriers. And with all the good things hopefully coming to you in your life over the next year, you're going to start to be more and more open, more and more ready, and more willing to receive love and passion, and to really fulfill that passion that you have for life as a whole. And here you are, I think, really operating from a place of fairness, from a place of justice as well. And there's no one, I think, of all the court cards in tarot, I would feel that the Queen of Swords is one of the most understated energies, and also one of the most misunderstood. She can often be written off as being very cold or very indecisive or judgmental or whatever. But at the end of the day, she's the one that constantly pushes things forward. She's extremely flexible, and she's also wanting to ensure that everything is fair. And she's the first one to take responsibility for her faults as well. Like, she's the one who will fall on her sword like that if she feels that she is in the wrong. And when she's not in the wrong, by all means, she's going to stand up for herself and say, no, like, I didn't do anything wrong. This is what needs to be done. So I think that she has this very, very subtle power. And in a weird way, she's kind of the one that can often... She's the one pulling the puppet strings for the rest of the zodiac, right? Because she's the one that's responsible for keeping everyone in check. As the seventh house, she's the one that takes it from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. She's a very major transition. So this is an important card, and when we get this and it represents our own energy, it's the fairness to ourselves and the direct honesty, and sometimes that honesty is quite harsh. I know that you guys have had a lot of ego blows over the past few years too, and you've been humbled and humbled and humbled and humbled. And the more humble we are, the more spiritual we become, because we realize the energetic forces at play. And she would be one of the most humble, I would say. So beautiful reading for you guys. I'm very excited to see how this pans out for you. If you want to join me on the comprehensive, there's definitely a lot to cover. So I will see you there. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.